Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 370 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. Going to be live hacking on some Firefox stuff today. Very excited about that. Let's get into it. Without further ado, why wait? Why wait? Let's get in there. Here's my screen. Yeah, it's June 26th, 2024, episode 370. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I say this every time, just in case you're new here. I don't know what's going to happen today. I know what I want to work on more or less, but I don't know how it's going to go. I haven't pre-written any of the solutions or pre-planned any of what I'm going to do, really. I have an overarching structure of what I'd like to try and get done, but whether or not I succeed is really anyone's guess, and you're just going to watch me deal with it live. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this agenda that we're looking at is available to you. You can click on links, you can follow along as I'm adding stuff to it. The links for the agenda will be available in the video description if you're on YouTube, or over there in the details section if you're on Air Mozilla, and if you're on Twitch, it's down in the channel details. And as I update the text here, you'll probably see this little spinny spin, and then if you reload the page, you should get the most up-to-date version of the agenda. I also want to take this opportunity to plug that there is an episode guide. It is a completely viewer-driven episode guide. If you are interested in adding your own corrections, addenda, maybe expanding on some point, or maybe I got something wrong and you want to add some notes to a particular episode, consider sending a pull request to the episode guide. There's a contribution guide here in the agenda itself, and it's all hosted on GitHub. Special thanks to Smurf D, who's a very prolific contributor to the episode guide. It keeps that thing running. So, thank you. Let's get into it. What am I working on today? Well, I was hoping we could do a few things. I think I talked a little bit about the backup project last week, and some things have landed since then. If we have a copy of Nightly, and if we build one, I can show you the current state of things. 1 second. Wait for this build to complete. So these days, if you were to create a backup using the debugger, the backup debug UI, it creates the backup very quickly. And here it is. Here's the archive. And it is a very nicely structured HTML page. And inside that HTML page is like a specially crafted HTML page that actually contains your backup data. In this case, my backup data is not encrypted in this HTML page, but I could choose to encrypt it if I really wanted to. And I encourage you to do so if and when you start using this. The thing I wanted to work on, there were two bugs that I had filed kind of in advance. It's not like anyone's testing this and bugs were filed because people discovered issues. To be clear, if you're not familiar with Bugzilla, maybe you're a software developer at another shop or something, your terminology for a chunk of work or a unit of work might be a ticket or a task or something. At Mozilla and working on Firefox and whatnot, you'll probably just hear everyone talking about bugs because we use Bugzilla, and the unit of work in Bugzilla is a bug. Whether or not it's a defect or not, we just call them bugs. So the bugs that I filed for the backup service I was hoping to work on today are here. When they deferred but blocking. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong browser. Deferred but blocking work. There are two bugs. I think I'm assigned two of them. Oh, I was the filer of a lot of them, but these two do not allow backups to be recovered in browser versions older than the one that created the backup. We can't allow downgrades through the backup service, unfortunately. That is not a thing we are going to support. And we generally don't support profile downgrades just in general. We don't tend to support that because oftentimes data store upgrades are irreversible. And then don't allow backups to be recovered when the app name does not match. So these are the two things I was hoping to look at the very beginning. And that's so that if you're using a different Mozilla Firefox-based browser like, I don't know, Tor, you shouldn't be able to recover a Tor backup inside of Firefox, or similarly, you should not be able to recover a Firefox backup inside of Tor, because they're two completely different applications that work differently, and that doesn't sound like a great way of having a stable product. So let's add some checks for those. Now, I'd started on this locally, and then I was like, oh, this would probably be a good idea to do on a stream. So it's actually the very first one I was thinking of working on was the app name one. So 1903606. I'll put a link to that here in the agenda. Now the thing that we're doing here is, in this routine to recover from a snapshot, that's what we call like a moment in time, a backup that's created at a moment in time. I'm adding this check to see whether or not the app name in the manifest matches the app constants Moz app name of the current application. And if not, then we're going to throw an exception. So that seems right, but I want to test this. I want to test, write an automated test. And so I've been thinking about how I want to do that. And I think what I want to do is add a new test file called test backup service recover from snapshot folder. So let's start there. Mock add test browser components backup test XPC shell, and then test backup service recover from snapshot folder. And we're going to add to our Mercurial tracking, and then we'll build, and then let's open up the test that we just added. So this is the skeleton of a test, not a whole lot going on here. I'm going to start by explaining what I'm going to test. Tests that if the backup manifest.json provides an app name different, because like the manifest, there's a schema for it. Where's the schema? Here, the app name. It provides an app name different from Moz app name of the currently running application, then recover from snapshot folder should throw an exception. So I'm going to test different app name. That'll be the name of the test. And then the when we work on the next bug, which is about the app version being, you're trying to recover from a version greater than the one that you're on. We'll probably add another test in here, but for now we'll just do the different app name. So how do I want to do this? Well, I think what I'm going to start with is I'm going to create a temporary folder. This is how you can create, there's some examples in here of creating a temporary folder. Yeah, create unique directory. I'm going to create a unique testing directory. And I'm going to call it test different app name. Casing right here. And then I'm going to write a manifest in there. Now, what I'll do is I'll manually write a manifest. We have like a fake set of metadata in head.js already. So I'll clone this. Let metadata equals object dot create and fake metadata. So that's cloning the object, and then I'm going to change the app name to be some other application. And then we're going to create our manifest. Now, the structure of a manifest, according to the schema, is you've got the version, the metadata, and then resources, which may or may not have any properties in there. So that's pretty simple. So we'll manifest meta. We'll give this simplicity version. We're going to say backup service dot. I believe that is a constant schema version. Oh no, it's under archive utils schema version. Okay, so I'm going to need to import archive utils. Chrome utils, import ES module, resource modules, backup, archive utils. And so version, schema version, meta, and then resources will just be the empty object. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure that this abides by the schema, the current schema version, so that in the event that we ever change the schema, this test should fail so that we can update it. So let's see. I think I've got a pre-existing test that does that sort of thing. JSON validator, JSON schema test backup service. Here we go. JSON schema. Load the manifest schema. And then we'll assert the schema matches the manifest. And then assert not equal meta app name, app constants, moz app name. Are set up a different app name in the manifest correctly. Because if we ever did this wrong, and then these would match, and then we wouldn't throw. Constants. All right. Now we're going to write the manifest. Utils write JSON to path utils join test profile path, and then what's the name? It's like backup manifest.json, which is manifest file name, a static member. Why do you do this to me, code? Backup service dot manifest file name, and we're going to write the manifest. I think that's the right usage. Path value, and then options. What are the options? No, don't need to do anything like that. Okay. And then we are going to call let bs equals new backup service, and we're going to say bs dot we're basically going to call a thing that we expect to reject. Recover from backup from snapshot folder. Path, we're going to say no. Profile root path. X state null. Recover, and this, because this is async, we expect this to reject. So await assert dot rejects, and then we're going to pass in our path, which is test profile It's not a profile path. Test recovery path. Recovery path. And what else? Should launch false. Yeah, okay, we can leave those as defaults. And then should. Oh, the way that we do assert rejects is we'll match on the okay. New regexp. Meta.app. I think that's how that works. Await assert rejects. Let's see some usage. So yeah, you can pass a regex there. So let's see if this test passes. How we doing out there in chat land? I'm not seeing much traffic. Am I streaming? Is any of this working? Can people hear me? I don't know. Maybe I'm just yelling into the void. Check 1 2. Can y'all hear me? Smurfty says we can hear you. Okay, it's just a quiet day. All good, no problem. Property descriptor must be an object. Recover. So line 27 we failed. So all the way back here. Did I? Descriptor must be an object. What? Head. Data. Am I using object.create wrong? Or maybe it's something else. Maybe is it object.copy? Clone? No. Object.clone doesn't exist. Object create, color, bind, assign. That's what it is. Object.assign is what I want. Yeah. That's how you copy. Boom. Passed. Amazing. This should reject and mention the invalid app name from the manifest. Okay. That's done. And then we should delete. Await iotils.remove test recovery path recursive true. And that's the first one done. Great. Bug. Well, now let's actually do a manual test. The way we can do that is we're gonna create a backup. We're gonna open the backups folder up. Here are our snapshots. Here's the directory, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna open this with code. We're gonna change the app name from Firefox to Foofrix. And then I'm gonna try and recover from a staging folder. Try and recover from staging folder. Let's see what happens. We should see failed to recover. Cannot recover backup from Fufrix in Firefox. Good stuff. And then, yeah, there was an error in debug, but that's okay. It's the debug page. Good. Okay, I'm happy with that. So commit bug. This is the right one, right? Yeah. And I actually think this is a pretty good title. Prevent recovery from backups created from an application with a different app name. You can also check that the correct app name works. I mean, we kind of already do. Like, we assert that, like, we do a number of tests that do like an actual recovery. But what we could do, actually, that's an interesting idea, SmurfD, is that we can assert that the backup app name matches the actual app name, the Moz app name. So let's see here, backup service, manifest. Do we do Moz app name? No. Create backup. Recover from snapshot folder, write JSON, data reporting state. Create backup, staging path. Ensure that the Moz, the app name in the written manifest matches app constant, matches the current Moz app name. So let manifest equal, do we do any other manifest manipulation? Just post recovery. Okay. Manifest equal await IOUtils read JSON, and then it's path utils join staging path backup service manifest file name, and then assert equal manifest dot meta dot app name is equal to app constants Moz app name. It matches Moz app name. This app constants is in here. All right, and then we can run test backup service. Yep, looking good. I like it. All right, let's post that up for review. We've also got like an end-to-end test that just ensures that this whole thing you can actually do a recovery. I'll show it to you actually. I'll run it and show it to you. Mock test browser commands backup test Marionette. This will actually launch a browser, launch another browser. This one performs a backup on itself. This one recovers from that backup, and then we clear it all out. So that is working still. So pretty happy about that. Oh, and also after we recover, we make sure all the stuff that we had put into the original profile works. So, okay. Did I already amend? I presume I did. So I'm going to say, before I do that, mock lint outgoing fix, just in case there's any linting issues before I post this for review. None. All right, let's get this up for review. Submit tip single, and let's do a fast follow. Let's do the app version one. I think that should be as similar in scope, size, and complexity. So our new condition is that like the app, if the meta version what we need to do is use the version comparator utility. Services dot, I think it's vc dot compare. Yeah, exactly. This compare meta app version. And then what's the definition of compare? Version compare. So A is on the left, B is on the right, returns less than 0 if A is less than B, which if the version is less than that, yeah, then we want to throw. Cannot recover a backup from created on version meta app version in version Moz app version. Okay. So let's go ahead and write a test for that. Test that if the backup manifest provides an app version newer than app constants, greater than Moz app version of the currently running application, then it should throw an exception. Newer app version. Test newer app version. Metadata. So we need to set the app version to be something quite large. Now, if I try and get access to appconstants.moz app version, if I just like, I don't think I can just do this. No, that'll just concatenate. So I'm going to say something really ridiculous. 999.0.0. Hope this will cover us for now. This static version number will do for now. Maybe someday we'll be at version 999, and then we'll have to bump this. Assert equal services.vc.compare app constants Moz app version meta app version should be -1. The current version is less than 999.0.0. Current application version. Manifests. Schema version, meta, resources, that's all good. Schema matches. Write the JSON, and then it should reject app version. Mention the invalid app version from the manifest. All right, let's try it. No good. Cannot recover a backup created on version. Recover a backup. What? So the string doesn't match. Cannot recover a backup created on version. Oh, Meta app version. Version Firefox. Yeah. Good. That passed. Good. Let's now manually test it. So let's go back to, instead of Fufrix, what was that? Backup manifest. Didn't I have it open? Oh, I guess I closed it. Okay, backup manifest open with VS Code. So Fufrix, we're going to call that Firefox. But we're going to say version 135. All right, run. Backup, debug, recover from archive. No, recover from a staging folder. This one. And failed to recover. Cannot recover a backup created version 135.0A1 in 129.0.0A1. That is correct. That's what we want. All right, and let's follow the same advice from SmurfD. We'll go back to test backup service, and we'll make sure that the app name and that app version matches Moz app version. App version. Test browser backup test XPC shell test backup service. Great. Let's now run the Marionette. Let's run the whole suite. We'll run Marionette. Post it. Okay, Marionette. The end-to-end test. Good, and we'll call that a done deal. So that's yeah, commit. What's the bug number? Versions. Let me update the agenda. So that's this number. Commit bug such and such. Do not prevent recovery. I'll use the same terminology here, or the same structure. Prevent recovery from backups created from an application with a newer version, newer app version. Our backup reviewers. Okay. Let's post that up for review. And then we'll wire up the dependency with Moz fab reorg. I think it needs that. Maybe it'll do it automatically. We'll see. Sometimes it knows to set up the relationship. Yeah, it did not set up the relationship, so I'll go Moz fab reorg. Yes. All right, so now if we look at the stack, great, we got these two things. Hooray! Okay, so got those two things done. What's the next thing I wanted to do? Well, there's a chunk of UI that we've been working on for backup that We've been focusing on a lot of the management dialogues. So that's dialogues for like enabling backup, disabling backup, setting the encryption password, removing the encryption password, changing the encryption password, all of these things. But the root UI for backup inside of the settings page here is, well, first of all, it's hidden. So let me turn it on. Backup preferences UI enabled, but it does not look great. This is all very like sloppy still. This part has not been worked on. Like we can open the dialogues. Those are nice, but this chunk in here does not look good. And I'd like to try working on that, cleaning that up a little bit today. But I want to base that on a set of patches that I have locally, but are kind of waiting for review. But the reason for that is because one of those patches sets up the scheduler that schedules backups and records the last backup time. Because part of the, and I'll show you our part of the design here is what it's supposed to look like. Part of the design is like telling you when the last backup was. What the file name of the backup is. I'll have to figure out how to do that. And then sort of like a slightly better layout. So I'm thinking of trying to do this. I think I'll file a new bug to do this. Having fun with Zuul layout in preferences. Been there, done that. Now, the good news is that we're able to do, so far we've been able to do this without Zuul. Add a single line of Zuul. We've been doing it for better or worse. Well, actually these days it's a lot safer, because it used to be we would intermix Zuul and HTML. Like if you go into settings and you like inspect some of this stuff, you'll see a mixture of like, this is Zuul and HBox, and this is HTML and H1. Group box, that's I think that's Zuul, and then label. Label is, I think, shared between Zuul and HTML. But then you'll have like other, there'll be like HTML-y things in here. Let's see, like this button. I think that's a Moz. I think there's a real mix. There's a mixture of HTML and Zuul in here, and that used to be really, really dangerous because isn't HBox and VBox HTML? No, those are Zuul elements. Excuse me. However, they used to be implemented using Zuul, the Zuul layout model, but we got rid of the Zuul layout model. All Zuul now uses the HTML. The normal CSS Flex layout model. We got rid of Zuul layout like over a year ago, I think, which means that Zuul is now kind of like an alternative markup syntax, but it shares the same layout characteristics. And that has saved us so much when we intermingle HTML and Zuul. Because it used to be a nightmare. You'd have these like two layout models like fighting and competing against one another, because Zuul had a very different layout model, and we didn't want to write more Zuul. We wanted to write with HTML because like our tooling knows how to deal with it, and our engineers know how to deal with HTML and CSS layout. And Zuul layout was like very mysterious and unusual, and so mixing them was so full of weird errors, and we were able to eliminate all of those entirely by transitioning Zuul to run with HTML layout, and then we got rid of Zuul layout. And so now, yeah, there is an intermix of Zuul and HTML in some of our pages, but the Zuul is just using CSS, like normal CSS layout. They're just like special tags, like VBox. I'm pretty sure if we take a look at the definition of VBox, it's just a thing with a flex direction of column. That's like a flex box. Like this is the definition of Zuul. It's just this CSS sheet. I'm oversimplifying. There are still some very like Zuul non-HTML, like there are things that Zuul can do that HTML cannot currently do still. But that set of things is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. Wait, you actually work at Mozilla? Wow. Hi, yes I do. Hi, I'm on 7K underscore. Nice to meet you. Spoji says Zool preferences page is back in time when I was doing damn toolbars XPIs. Oof. Yep. It's a blast from the past. We don't like if you, there were like Zool was this like super powerful but super hacky thing. Like you'll hear about add-on developers bemoaning old school add-on developers bemoaning the loss of Zool, and while there was great power with Zool add-ons, what you were effectively doing was making the entire UI an API surface, an API layer that add-ons could inject nodes into and rearrange and change, and that made for extremely unstable software, and that also made for very common breakage. You couldn't change like an ID in the UI, like a class name, without breaking like 10,000 add-ons that you've never heard of. So there was I am not sad that Zool overlays are gone and that Zool add-ons are a thing of the past. We had developed a framework that was building extensions in Zool and building the HTML equivalent for creating the same extension in IE back in the day. It was an idea to get the same extension running in both browsers before web extensions. Amon some cases, I just started my first internship. Looking forward to the world of software development. Did you start your first internship at Mozilla, or are you at some other shop? Amon 7K. And yes, we had to always check for breakage in Zool before it hit Firefox prod releases. Yeah, like it was a nightmare back in the day. Like, because at least now with web extensions, you have a stable, well-defined API surface that is very well tested. Whereas before, like the UI markup was your API surface, and it was only okay tested, and we did not have like a battery of add-ons that were tested against it. Whereas with web extensions, we do. So it's a lot more stable. I do not miss Zool add-ons. I'm sorry if you're watching this and you miss Zool add-ons. That sucks, but like, it is not a thing I miss whatsoever as a browser developer. They were such a pain, and they slowed us down so much. Okay, what now? Yeah, the preferences UI. So the first thing I want to do is I think I want to file a bug, because I don't think there is a bug yet for this UI work. So there is meta build out initial UI to control the backup feature. I think I need to file a bug against this. Not in a different org. So Amon 7K is in a different org. We make games. Oh, what kind of games? What kind of games do you make, Amon 7K? And what technology are you using? Let me guess. You're using Unity. We make Unity games. That's my guess. Smurfy asks, is the Zool About page still around that had that Ghostbusters pun? So the Zool namespace. So Zool was like an XML thing, and whenever you have a dialect of XML, you have a namespace normally. And the Zool namespace, I think it was Zool NS, was it? Zool NS? There is only... Yeah, this is XML namespace. Yeah, this is the namespace definition for the Zool markup language. Keymaster Gatekeeper, there is only Zool. It was a Ghostbusters gag, I think. Mobile games, not Unity. It's a custom engine. Oh, cool. Very cool. That's exciting. That's exciting. I hope you enjoy your time in the world of games. I hope it's not a real grind. I've heard mixed things from, people who I went to school with who entered the games industry, that certain shops, AAA shops, for example, it can be a real grind. I hope you have a nice long career doing what you love and that you get to enjoy it the whole time. Okay, let's file a bug. File a bug. Fix up the I think it's called the backup settings widget. Let me just double check. Backup settings, yeah. Fix up the backup settings widget to be closer to the spec. So this is a task, no severity, P3, tag it right for our project. And I'll say, this isn't going to be exhaustive because there are still a number of moving parts here. But what I'd like to do is, one, show the backup on, backup off state. Have the have the backup, what is it called? Manage backup. Whenever you've got backups disabled, it just has manage backup. Turn on, have a show a turn on backup button if backups are disabled, which brings up the manage backup dialog. Right? Like if you click on turn on backup, yeah. Actually, let me just give me a quick second here. Does it ever say manage backup? Turn on backup, turn off backup. Turn off backup, show in folder, location, edit. It never says. Oh, yeah, it does. It says manage backup when it's on. But in a different screenshot, it says turn off backup. Sorry, I'm not showing this to you because I don't know how much of this Figma I want to show, but okay, that might be a question for our designers. Show a turn on backup if backups are disabled, brings up the manage backup dialog. Show the last backup time. I'm not going to show the location. Well, maybe I will. Show the last backup location. Or last backup file name. And then what else? Location. So choose a file. There's restore. So I think it's supposed to be restore. I think that's all. What this bug will not cover. The location, show in folder or edit buttons from copy link. I need a link from and any of the restore your data part. So this will be an incremental improvement, not a one shot. Okay. Take. Spoji says that they're dealing with voxels now, helping mining industries. Voxels to help the mining industry. Very interesting. Okay. I want to base our work, however, off of my scheduling patch. So I'm going to I'm gonna actually base it off of this one. So build. A question for Amon7K. Has your company made any games that you really enjoy? Like, are there any games that you that you're going to be working on that you've tried and you're like, oh yeah, this is really cool? Like, maybe you don't have to give us any title. If you're trying to like not tell us who you work for, that's fine. But I'm curious to know whether or not you've been able to play any cool games that you really dig at your company. This is also an opportunity to be like, our games are only okay, and you don't have to give us the company name. It's up to you. It's up to you. Okay, so here we are. Here's the definition for the UI. What I'm gonna do, the backup and progress thing is actually not necessary. I'm gonna get rid of that. Scheduled backups. Sensitive data. Toggle schedule. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some big honking piece of text. What's a good example? So this is size 22, the header. It's about right. Font size px, but it's ultimately about 22 tall. And then this thing is supposed to be 17. It's ultimately I have 24. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, font size 22, font size 17. That's, sorry, I made a mistake. And this is font size 15. So this is only slightly larger. We do have like a typography. This is in content font heading default. This is in content font heading large. And I think, is the typography style sheet in here? Typography, yeah. Good. Okay, I think it's good. Font weight, bold. Inspector. Rules from text and typography. Okay, good. Font size was turned to X large. And I think that matches, that does not match this. This is just large, and this is default. And this is also default. So these are actually in content font body default, but the size is different. That looks like maybe there's been a mistake there. Font, oh, it's heading default. Heading default. Heading large, heading default. Does such a thing exist? Typography. Heading large, heading extra large, heading large. So maybe H2. It's supposed to be an H2. And that is what this is. It's an H2. Oh wait, no. I'm getting confused. General is an H1. This is an H2. This is also an H2. What does an H3 look like? Just normal text. Okay. What does sync do? Syncing on. Syncing is using an H2. So I wonder if they're expecting this to be in its own section. That's what's up. Okay, well, for now, what I'll do is I will have... Text and typography. I'll use heading large on a span. Class equals heading large, and I'll just say like backup on. Let's take a look and see what that looks like if I just do that. Oof. That's a bit big. Not quite. Let's modify this a little bit. Heading medium. That's more like it. Heading medium. And now the backup on or off, that is the sort of thing that I think, let's take a look at how sync does it again. Sync. Syncing on, prefs syncing on, so they probably do the whole string. Whoop, prefs syncing on. Right, okay. We're gonna do the same thing. Data, or I have to call this ID equals backup schedule backup toggle schedule button. Scheduled backups enabled is the ID, and I'll go to backup settings.ftl. Settings, data, settings data, backup, scheduled, backups on, data backups, backup on, backup off. Okay, and then I'll go back to backup settings.mjs. Oh, we can make our choice here on which one to show. By looking at the state. The current backup state, backup, scheduled backups enabled. We do have a state for that. So we'll say data L10N ID equals scheduled backups enabled L10N ID. Let scheduled backups L tenant ID equal this dot state dot scheduled backups enabled, and then it's this or this. Okay, let's take a look and see what that does. It broke things. Let's take a quick peek here. And I just fully broke stuff. Backup settings. No complaints or anything, eh? Let's custom elements, type error, scheduled back. This dot state is undefined. Is it something else? This dot backup service state. That's what it is. This dot backup service state. Backup off. Okay, now turn it on. Backup on. Now turn it off. Nice. All right. Good stuff. Next, we're gonna move this button all the way over to the right here. And the way I think we tend to do that, let's inspect here. So you flex. We're gonna flex. Can I flex this? That is not the way to do this. It might also help if I like align self and flex end. No, because we're not inside a grid or flex item. That's why. So scheduled backups might need to be, we might need to be inside of like a flex row. Div ID equals scheduled backups control. I'm going to move these dialogues here. This thing, backup settings. Display flex. Let's take a look. Okay. Now this, if I give this a flex of 1, it's not quite enough, because this also needs to flex out, because this needs to flex out. Flex 1, yeah. That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay, so I need to make main.inc.xhtml backup settings flex equals 1. And then I need to make this one flex. I think I also need it to be centered vertically. Align content center. There. Align content center. All right, let's take a look. Oh, I think I have to build because I changed a preprocessed file. Time is at 2:08. Making good progress. Still not flexing. Why not? Why aren't you flexing? Okay. Backup settings. I think what I'll do is I'll say that that's what happens. So then main inc, we get rid of that. Bit faster. Better. Choose your file. I'm gonna move that. Where is that coming from? Backup settings.mjs. Choose your file. Render from backup template. Restore from backup template. I'm gonna move that down here. Okay. Next, we need the time of the last backup. ID equals like last backup info. And then there's a span. ID equals last backup date. And last backup file name. And should those be spans? Probably not. And what should the text be? Data Altanan ID. So if there is no last backup, then we don't show this. If, how do I put logic in here? Render. I think I've seen people do logic in here. It's like, okay. Do templates. So this dot backup service state dot last backup. We need to get the backup state. last backup date. And we need to pipe that down. Backup parent, or backup UI parent. Sends the state down. Backup UI child receives it. Sends that to the backup service state. So I need to update backup settings.mjs to have last backup date equal null. And then last backup date this dot, what's the convention? Last backup template or null. Okay. Last backup template. HTML. Data L10N args equals I think it's like this. I think it'll be like last backup date get time. Args date. Oh, even better. Equals let backup date args equals date. I think that's how you get the get time, because that's how we render them. Backup service time. Yeah. It's kind of silly, but that's the way it is. Backup settings get time as the date. And then equals JSON stringify backup date args. Last backup date. Wait a second. Wait a second. What do we stash in there? It's a number. Oh, it's a number. Okay, so I don't have to do get time on it. MJS backup service. And file name to do. And then I need to set the data L10N ID to be like settings data backup last backup date. And I'll put that inside of Backup settings.ftl. And we do this date time. Date. And the exact format is last backup. Time, sure, and then date. Good. All right, let's see what that looks like. Last backup, 4:35 on the January 20th, 1970. That can't be right. Full on Unix time for sure. I am doing something wrong here. I have a feeling I need to multiply. I need to do a multiply. Or even better, last backup date equals now seconds. Yeah, okay. I have to multiply it by 1,000. And I'll explain why in a second. The last backup date is stored in preferences, which only accepts, I think, 32-bit values, signed values. So we automatically divide it by 1,000 before storing it. We need to re-multiply it by 1,000 to get Fluent to render the right time. I might get some review feedback for that. They're like, what the heck? What's going on? That's fine. That's more like it. June 20, that was yesterday, 2:48. Good stuff. And then the last backup file name I'll also need to record. So that's something from backup service. Last backup pref name. Last backup file. File name, pref name, last backup file. Pretty sure we don't have that set as any value, right? Right. So then when we write the file, prefix, file name, services pref set string pref that to file name. Last backup date. Last backup file name, null. Init the backup scheduler. This dot state last backup file name equals services prefs get string pref last backup file name pref or the empty string. So I guess this should, I'll just have that be like that. And then down in backup settings, last backup file name. And what is this supposed to look like? File name. Data L10N args equals JSON stringify backup file name args. Last backup file name args, or let that equals file name. Last backup service state dot, and then the data L10N ID will be settings data backup last backup file name. Okay. So we need to put this in here. Backup settings, FTL, date equals last, or file name. And then, how do we do the variables again? File name. I have to variables. File name, string, the name of the file, the name of the backup, last backup, the file name of the last backup that was created. File name, and then backup settings.mjs. File name, backup file name. Yeah, let's see what that does. So I'm gonna have to restart, create a backup because there is no file name stored. And backup, debug, create a backup, and still no good. Why not? Last backup file name pref is not defined. 2779. 2779. Last backup file name pref. Oh, whoops. Should be that. So 3779, 2779. Should have been that. All right. That should work. No? Still don't like. Didn't insert one. Why not? Config last backup dot scheduled last backup file name. There it is. Last backup file. So if I get the state of the backup service, get yes.state, the last backup file name is that. That's correct. So if I open up the debugger, I go backup settings, last backup file name. So that if I cause that to reset, so what is file name is that. So then what's the problem? Oh, it's a because this didn't put a closing quote. Classic. All right, restart. There it is, file name. Good stuff. Turn on backup, turn off backup. There it all is. And let's see if we can quickly style this to match the spec. We're obviously missing this part, but we've got this part. So styling. This is like secondary text. Color. I think there's a secondary. This man, backup settings, text de-emphasized is the class. Is there text color de-emphasized? That used anywhere else? Text de-emphasized? No. So what's another example of us doing that sort of thing? De-emphasize text so large. Here. Description de-emphasized. I guess I can just set text color de-emphasized on it. Okay. So last backup info. Color. Text color de-emphasized. Let's see if that works. It does. And now we just need the spacing to be correct. So we want between these things a margin of about 8 pixels. That's already got a little bit of its own like margin. So what I'm going to suggest is that this backup info rules. If I do this, last backup info div margin block and 8 pixels, what does that look like? Still looks a little packed to me. How about margin block? That's better. Like it claims that there's 8 pixels of difference, but it's not taking into account the existing sort of like line height. Like I guess, do I want to set like line height? Do I want that? I think that's pretty unusual for us to set the line height like that. But maybe there are other cases. Line height. Oh, I am over time. Hey, thanks for watching The Joy of Coding. there. Yeah. Thanks for watching The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. I hope you got to see some stuff you wanted to see. Let me know what you thought. There is a form in the agenda here if you wanted to submit some feedback. Here, let me put a link into the chat. Form for feedback. I read everything that comes in. That's a great place if you want to ask questions or you want to give feedback on what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. Do this, do that, try this, or that sort of thing. If you've got ideas on ways that can improve the stream, go ahead and fill out that form, and I'll read everything that comes in. And I'm going to call it there. Thanks again for watching. Have yourselves a Greek week, a great week. You can have a Greek week if you want. Nothing wrong with that if you want to have a Greek week, but also have a great week. And I'll see you hopefully next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.